As the memorial for April grows here in her garden, today her mother returned and sat on the same bench where she comes so often. But today, after the arrest of a man accused of killing her daughter, she told us a much different story.
It's been overwhelming. You just can't believe it, and you're thinking, is this actually true? And you're pinching yourself.
A moment Janet Tinsley has waited for decades.
Just hearing that, they finally found him, it's pretty much justice for her.
A man behind bars charged with killing her little girl, 8-year-old April Marie Tinsley, in 1988. An agonizing 30 years passed by, ups and downs in the case, new leads, but never an arrest.
I was hoping, one day it will come.
That day came Sunday, when police knocked on her door.
They said they got him, and pretty much that's all I needed to hear is that they got him. It was like you got that chill feel, goes from the top of your head down to your toes, and it's like you want to believe it, then you can't believe it, and it's like it's been so long, but it's been good.
Janet grateful to the detectives who never gave up, and a community that never stopped caring.
Everybody that's involved, you want to, give your thanks to them.
Gifts for April in her garden still growing.
There you go. That's great. There you go, baby.
They ain't got to do what they're doing, but the family pretty much appreciates it.
While Janet was sharing her emotional story, there was another face in the crowd, full of tears. The mother of the young girl who was with April the day she disappeared.
Little did we know we were going to get a knock on the door a couple hours later stating that April was missing.
A little girl who left a big hole in a lot of hearts.
Her big brown eyes all lit up the whole neighborhood. Yeah. When you seen her coming down. She'd skip. She wouldn't walk, she'd skip.
The arrest, the beginning of closure.
The pain that everybody has been gone through now can be lifted because April now can rest in peace.
But one question remains.
Why? That's really the only thing I got to say to him. I said, I just want to know why, and see if he can come up with a good answer.
Would any answer be enough?
I would like him to explain himself, but right now I'll probably just take whatever I can get.
Janet still talks to her little girl at her grave and sitting for hours in her garden. She says she hasn't told April about the arrest yet, but a tiny visitor to the garden today
usually there's like a white butterfly will fly around.
Might have been telling us
April's angel.
That April already knows. Janet tells us she isn't sure if she'll be at all of the court proceedings for John Miller, but she told us his arrest is at least a start in seeking justice for April. In Fort Wayne, Alyssa Ivanson, News Channel 15. Thank you, Rod. We are at the corner of US 30 and 5 in Whitley County, and you can see that there are cars out here going on US 30. We've seen a lot of semis this morning. We've seen a lot of early morning commuters. We have seen a lot of private plow trucks out as well, and the plows are out on the roads. They are a little choppy in spots, though, and it is certainly still slow going. You'll want to take some extra time, but I want to show you kind of about how much snow we've had so far here in Whitley County. Here in the gas station at the Marathon in the corner, this is completely untouched snow, and if I draw a line here, you can see my finger is gone underneath all of that snow. So we've definitely had about 2 inches at least, I would say, already here in Whitley County. It is still coming down, and we're expected to get about 2 to 4 inches. So again, road conditions here, they're passable, but you certainly want to be careful and take your time, have some extra time going into work, or if that's where you're headed today. But if you can stay home, I would recommend doing that. Again, the plows have been out, but we were going no faster than 35, 40 tops on US 30, so definitely want to keep that in mind. Now, to our north, they're seeing some even heavier snow and larger snow totals up there, so we want to send it up to News Channel 15's Chris Darby for a look at conditions up around the Angola area. Chris. It is a staggering number, 22. That's how many veterans die by suicide every day. It's a number one Fort Wayne soldier is running to erase. Every step, every breath, about more than the mile.
It gives me the opportunity to spend a couple quick seconds with somebody and thank them for their support and maybe mention, some of the different issues, facing veterans.
Sergeant First Class John Garrett joined the Army National Guard when he was 17, still in high school.
I wanted to make a difference.
Over the last 22 years, he's served as a combat medic in the infantry and deployed to Iraq in 2006. One of his bosses was a big runner.
And if you worked for him, you had to run. And I hate running, but he got me running, so we started doing races together.
But when Garrett got hurt 3 years ago, that running turned into a mission with meaning.
To kind of pick up the slack, I started carrying a rucksack. At that point, people was like, hey, why are you carrying that? And I decided I wanted to try to do something to promote veterans' causes and bring awareness to the suicide epidemic that the veteran population is undergoing right now. And so I just started doing the races in uniform, sometimes carrying a flag.
You might have seen Garrett earlier this year in Fort for Fitness. He did the 10K in full military gear.
Fort Wayne has such tremendous support for veterans and for the military, and I'll be running down the road or jogging, and people will just reach out. They want to touch hands, high five. People want to talk and say thank you for your service and things like that. It's really great.
Suited up in the 50-pound rucksack, it's a service people can see, so Garrett can share the message of struggles many don't see.
All right. Throughout the country, 22 veterans a day commit suicide. That statistic for veteran suicide is so alarming, and we have to do something to reach out to these people who have been through our country's wars, been through the battles, and help them connect with the home front. And if this message reaches one person, that they can reach out to somebody who's facing that struggle of depression and isolation, that's what I want.
With each race, each step, Garrett spreads hope.
There's so many resources out there that maybe veterans aren't aware of, that we just need to get that information out there and let them know that we're there for them.
Garrett's next race for awareness is later this month, the Fantasy of Lights 5K. 3 men are behind bars this morning, caught in a Fort Wayne police undercover sting operation. It's a targeted effort to combat sex trafficking, and I got an exclusive look as detectives were uncovering the hidden predators.
Just had a third guy that wants to come. Okay, we just got a text. All right, he's at the corner. He's making the turn westbound.
This day,
Probably 55 years old, heading your way.
a month in the making.
We have to get everything arranged. We have to arrange the hotel. We have to make sure we have enough personnel to adequately take care of this issue.
It's called a John sting. John is a generic term for the person, usually a man, paying for illegal sex from a prostitute. The operation was at a motel in town. First, detectives put up a fake ad that looks real on a website with a lot of other posts soliciting sex. In less than 3 hours, there were interactions with 4 different Johns.
And when Backpage was up and running, we had people coming so fast that we really had trouble keeping up with that. Now that that's down and we're working from other sites, I think it's just a little bit slower because of that.
So 4 in a couple hours is slow to you?
Yes, it is, unfortunately.
The first bite was 54-year-old Johnny Ray Kreider.
Coming to the door now, opening and going in.
He walked into the motel and not long after was escorted back out by officers, getting an unexpected ride in a police car.
We got one on the line, so she's ready to go right now.
There was already a list of Johns interested in coming, and not long after Kreider's arrest, Clarence Jr. Crawford II was also brought out of the motel in handcuffs.
We have an undercover detective inside. They will have maybe previously talked about what he wants and how much she wants him to pay for it. Once he arrives, there will be some kind of confirmation of that. And once we get that confirmation, then we would take him into custody and place him under arrest.
Looks like he's getting ready to text.
By the end of the 7-hour sting, 12 different men talked to or texted the detectives. Only 3 showed up. All 3 now face a single patronizing a prostitute charge, a Class A misdemeanor.
I think it would be very helpful to make this harsher punishment, maybe a level 6 felony, with some caveats that they have to go through counseling after being arrested or convicted of this kind of charge. That would be very helpful. Because again, many times I think people who have sex addiction don't really know that they have that. They just keep going with that desire.
Stings like this are one of the many ways police are fighting back against sex trafficking.
We're working on this issue and we're trying to address it, and we're trying to curb that demand by doing these types of operations. To know that there's a risk out there, the fear of arrest and the fear of being discovered of doing this, that's even greater with these types of operations.
After we left, police also arrested 47-year-old Brian McClintock. While there were only 3 arrests in this sting, police hope it will have an even further reaching effect and decrease activity from other Johns out of fear of getting caught. Of the 85 veterans, 6 were World War II veterans. This is the story of the World War II Memorial through the eyes of Jack.
Welcome to your memorial, sir.
To Jack Holmes,
Oh, this is something, huh?
the World War II Memorial
Oh, and it's beautiful.
is a trip back in time.
I was on the ship close to all these places. Tinian, right. That's where we docked, and I went in for supplies.
Okay.
And that's where they was unloading the atomic bomb for Japan.
Were you there when they flew out?
Yeah, we pulled out, and then I was 300 miles from the Indianapolis when it sunk.
Strangers stop for a history lesson that they can't read in a book.
I've been around long. I was on the USS Conaway. But we had good equipment, and then it wasn't up to date, nothing like today.
When the war broke out, Jack was still 17.
I was going to enlist in the Air Force. My mother wouldn't sign it for me. And then I come back, and a year later, then I enlisted in the Navy.
Jack served from 1944 to 1946 on the USS Passaconaway.
I was all over.
Now seeing those places of war etched in stone.
It brings back memories.
Brings back memories, doesn't it?
Big time.
Yep.
Can't imagine.
Letting the fountain fill the silence. Taking moments to pause. And reflect.
I got all these places I've been,
At 94 years young, around the memorial built in his honor, this World War II veteran feels the thanks of a country, one handshake at a time.
This has probably been the most interesting day of my life. I tell you, I've never shook so many hands in my life. I've never thought that people would appreciate what I've done in my life. It's fantastic, fantastic, really is. Yeah. It's amazing.
In Washington, D.C.
So much, so much.
Alyssa Ivanson, News Channel 15. Yeah, I just got an update from police about 5 minutes ago, and they told me they were originally called here to the scene at 4917 North Crest around 4 o'clock on the report of a problem unknown. When they arrived, they found a man in one of the apartments with apparent gunshot wounds. When paramedics arrived, they pronounced that man dead. I want to show you a look at the scene happening live right now. This is an apartment complex, again, 4917 North Crest Drive. 4 apartments inside, 2 on the lower level, 2 on the upper, but police are not releasing where the victim was found, in which apartment or where in that apartment. Right now, crime scene technicians are here on the scene, detectives on the scene. They are talking to anyone in the area, people who live around here, some people who have walked up, just trying to get any information about what might have happened and anything that they might know. Police are asking for anyone who might know anything about this crime to call Crime Stoppers. Again, an adult man was shot and found inside this apartment complex. We're kind of behind the North Crest Shopping Center, not far from Coliseum here on the north side of town. And again, police are asking for help trying to solve this crime, and still a lot more questions than answers. The coroner will release exact cause and manner of death, as well as the victim's identity once an autopsy is complete. But right now, police are just trying to learn more information and figure out exactly what led up to this fatal shooting here this afternoon. Live in Fort Wayne, Alyssa Ivanson, News Channel 15.